add one more thing too that I think
go right ahead.
Help you to kind of understand the last 30 years for me. When I first joined the church, I mean, it was just pure obedience to God. Pure obedience to God, because that's like, there's no way he could possibly want me a part of this organization. No way. And then once I started to learn what he wanted me to learn, I read just about every book on the subject and compiled all of my notes and my findings for 11 months. And then I wrote a letter to the first counselor in the first presidency at that time, which was Gordon B. Hinckley. And I said, you have to share these things during general conference. The people are teaching all the wrong things. They were telling me, trying to get me into the church, lovingly telling me that I was cursed, that I couldn't get into the celestial kingdom, that I was less valiant in the pre-existent, that my dark skin, which means my mother and my precious grandmother and my great-grandmother and my brothers and sisters, my aunties and cousins, that we're all just bad people. These are the loving things they're telling me trying to get into the church. And I shared with President Hinckley in his letter, it's like, these are the things they're sharing. You have to share these truths. They're going to keep millions of people from joining the church. They're teaching completely the wrong thing. And I rested, and I waited for his reply. And I was sorely disappointed when I received his reply, because his reply was not, I get it, I see it, you're right, we need to stop this immediately. What did Brigham Young say when the William Martin Hancock Company, when he found out that they were lost out there? Stop meetings, get up, don't do anything, let's get out there and get them. Well, why don't we do that with truth? And so his comments to me in that letter were, you share it. Start small in your wards and your quorums and let the message grow that way. And so since he left me no choice, I did it, but I was sorely disappointed. And so for the 30 years that I've been a part of the church leaders are clearly aware of what I'm doing. They had to sign off and give us view our content before giving us written permission to use the church's copyrighted material in our DVD series. We sent them copies afterwards. When President Monson took over, we sent them copies, everything. We have letters back from them acknowledging everything. They just won't share it with the members. Now, this is a group of people, a church, who is very good with disseminating messages. We'll get the message come down through the letter. It goes through all of the different channels. It is pumped through each of the meetings over and over again so we can hear the things over and over again. But not once will they set the truth straight on this issue that's been the biggest thorn in the church's side for the last 100+ years.
Wow. Darren, what do you think about the idea that the men in the very seats of power and authority that originally gave weight to these racist ideas and these old racist folklores, pawning off the responsibility for correcting them to low-level members? I mean, what is that? I don't know. That just blows my mind. What do you think about that?
I think Brother Perkins is right. He's speaking truth. I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it happen, to me and others around me who look like me, who are members of the church. And I think it speaks to the idea of this. I don't think that the brethren, members of the church in general, can imagine the world any other way. I think we're expecting too much of white people. I think that's what we're expecting too much. White folks have never had to deal with race in the same ways that African Americans and other groups of color have had to deal with race. So I think we're putting a lot of expectations on the brethren and on white people to do the expedient thing, to do the right thing, because we're expecting them to be able to imagine the world differently than what they're able to do. And clearly, they're not able to imagine the world differently because the lens that they're able to see it through is tainted, highly tainted. So, I agree with Marvin's assessment, and I applaud his effort for continually, putting up, trying to push truth to power. It's very difficult to push an elephant up a hill. It's very difficult.